Okay, we are actually live tonight. Hello, my name is Deborah Jones. I'm your Blue Table Talk host. And, as always, we're going to start off with some housekeeping. I would like to congratulate Georgine Guillory for being the first Black named for the Port of Beaumont. Congratulations to you. She's a president for the Port of Beaumont. Congratulations to you, Georgine, and best wishes to everything that you do and everything that's going to happen for the port. Okay, also, I was able to witness the first Black female to be our mayor of Beaumont, our 42nd mayor, which is Mayor Robin Mouton. Congratulations, and you have our support for whatever you do or whatever you say. Let's go. Let's take Beaumont to another level. And I know that you can do it. And like I said, you have a lot of support behind you. So let's do what we need to do it and take Beaumont to another level and get things together right here in the Beaumont, Texas. I saw a lot of people there. I saw a mayor from Port Arthur. I saw the mayor from Orange there also. And also there was a mayor that one of your friends, I forgot, you said she's close to San Antonio. So yeah, you got some support. You got some people to call in case you're in trouble. So let's do what we need to do to get our city back on the map. Okay. So tonight we are going to talk with one of the lawyers here in Beaumont, Texas. And so before I introduce you to her, I'm gonna let you know, as you can see, she's also a young Black lawyer. Also, and I'm so happy to have her on tonight that I am just pickled. I'm just tickled pink. And so tonight, before she introduces herself, I want to welcome Brittany Holmes. Hey, Brittany, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you? I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for accepting the podcast, coming on Blue Table Talk. So I know there are a lot of people who died to know who Brittany Holmes is. So kind of introduce yourself, Brittany.
All right. Well, I'm Brittany Holmes, born and raised here in Beaumont, Texas. I'm a 2004 graduate of Clifton J. Ozan Magnet High School, graduate of Prairie View A&M University, and also Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University.
Hey.
So I began my career in law in 2011. Started at the district attorney's office as an assistant district attorney. And in 2017, I branched off and started my own private practice. And I've been doing that ever since. Also, some of y'all might see me at municipal court sometimes. I'm a part-time city magistrate for the city of Beaumont Municipal Court. I've been doing that since I was appointed in 2018. And so I'm glad to be here, and hopefully I can help and give some advice that'll help everybody out tonight.
So can you tell us a little bit about your criminal background?
Okay. Yes. So I've been in private practice with criminal law since 2017, in which I handle cases from Class B misdemeanors all the way up to first-degree felonies. I'm on the criminal defense side, so I represent the defendants in cases in which they are charged. I was previously on the prosecution side, but now I'm on the defense side, so that's what I handle.
So you glad that, not so much glad, but you rather the defense side than the prosecution side, or what?
I enjoy it because I kind of, at this point, I got both worlds. So I see both sides. And so it helps me out when I'm looking at cases because I kind of see where the state might be coming from. But then on the criminal defense side, I got a few tricks up my sleeve.
That'll work. At least you know what you're doing.
Right.
Can you tell us about a time when you won a particular challenge case, and why do you think you succeeded in that?
Okay, one case that comes to mind, a lot of times with criminal defense, anytime we can get a case dismissed on behalf of our client, that's a win to us.
Okay.
So I could probably tell you, I think last year I had a murder case, and we wholeheartedly believe that the client, he was the wrong person. And he was sitting in the county jail for about a year, but we fought hard. We had to get investigators involved to, try to find any witnesses because, people don't like to talk.
Right.
This, murder cases or things like that. But eventually the state was able to see the things that we were presenting to them, and his case was dismissed. I was able to be at the jail when he walked out those doors, and that was a beautiful sight to
Right.
see someone who you wholeheartedly know is innocent, and
Mm-hmm.
to see him walk out those doors was beautiful. So that was probably one of my proudest moments.
Right. So what happens if a person who is innocent goes to jail and is in jail for a good period of time, and let's say years, and then all of a sudden they come out, they have an appeal and everything, and then all of a sudden they come back with the court case, and what happens to that person if they finally say, okay, you're innocent? Do y'all go back in the records and say, I knew this in the beginning and it just wouldn't come up? Or how do you handle that?
Well, that can go a few different ways. So if a person is convicted and then it's found after the conviction that they actually did not commit this crime, it still has to go back down to the state court, in which that person will eventually and hopefully be exonerated for the offense. They obviously have some remedies as far as, if they want to file lawsuits, having to stay in prison for so many amount of years. I know y'all see a lot of times when a person is exonerated and then they're awarded $1 million or something like that. So that's a remedy you have, but that's a very intricate and tough area. That's more on the appellate side. I don't do much appeal work. But in order to even get to that stage, it's a lot of appeals filed, a lot done in that area, and I commend attorneys who devil in that side. I don't do much on that area, but it takes a lot to get to that point, especially after they have been convicted already of that offense.
Right. And I know that when they're off, they're also, happy about that, but it's still an ill feeling towards them, because they'll probably say, you knew I was innocent in the beginning. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then all of a sudden now you got this case again. It came to the same evidence is, presented to you, and now here I am, winning the case now. So that's, I don't know.
That's
I don't know
I
how.
wouldn't put that on anybody.
Yeah. So, how have you dealt with a client who was dismissive and unwilling to cooperate, and how did you resolve that issue?
Okay, so I think I can speak on behalf of anybody who deals with clients that it's going to always be one or two that's not going to cooperate. So what
Mm-hmm.
you have to do is always stay professional at all times. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have to understand, and I've learned this throughout the years, that everyone is not going to like you. Everyone's not going to appreciate what you have to say, but I have
Yeah.
to be real, and I have to keep it real. Sometimes
Right.
you tell clients something that they don't want to hear, but I'd rather tell you what's real instead of giving you this false hope of an expectation that's not going to be there. So
Right.
if I have a client that's not cooperative, you always give them the option that they can seek to hire other counsel. I'm not the only attorney in the area, so I don't have to stay on board. Attorneys do have the option to request to withdraw from cases if they just cannot get along with a client. So we do have the option to file what we call a motion to withdraw as counsel. You can't just get off the case, though. You have to get approval from the court, of
Mm-hmm.
course. But those are some remedies that we have. But before it gets to that point, I like to talk to my clients, see if it can be hashed out, whatever difficulties or disagreements that we may have. We try to do that first. But if you're not able to come to a mutual agreement on some things within their case, then either remove yourself from the case, or they can seek other counsel, and the other counsel can substitute in to represent them.
Okay, before we go on, everyone who's already online, would you please share this podcast and let everybody know that Brittany Holmes is on, and we're talking about criminal criminal trials, and we'll be talking about wills and probate soon. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Have you ever had a client that was a friend of yours, and if so, would you take the case?
It depends on what it is. So if you're a acquaintance or someone who I may have known a while back, or classmate, something like that, and then I probably would. If we're more close, like on the family side, or someone that I interact with daily, I probably would not, because that'll be more a conflict of interest for me. So it really depends on the type of case it is and exactly what type of relationship we have. Because I have represented people that I've known in the past, but it really depends on the type of case and what it involves.
So did y'all stay friends or whatever?
I would like to
or
think
they felt that you should have done more than what you did, or what?
I don't think I haven't had any problems with people that I actually know. So it's always the strangers who I might have a little issue with sometimes, not all the time. That's very rare for me to have a problem with a client. Okay, so that's rare, y'all. Okay, but it happens. But as far as the ones I know, I think we good. I think we good.
Yeah. They're gonna say, "Go get Brittany. We could graduate school together. Is she cool? She was cool to school. She better be cool now."
Right.
But that and that would be hard. That would be hard for you to have take a case where that person is a friend or even a classmate of yours, and I know you probably have to reject them because of that. But they would probably look at you in another issue, another way, saying, you could have taken me to be your client, because we know each other, and you know what type of person I am. I wouldn't have done that. But we have different faces for different things.
Right.
So yeah. So I might have done it when I graduated, 2004, but this 2021 now, 21 now, and I've changed.
Yes, yeah. That's why it's case by case basis, and sometimes I can help, sometimes I can't, and I just have to refer you to somebody else.
Yeah. Hey, can you describe a time when you successfully negotiated a plea deal?
Oh, well, that's something we try to do every week. You don't want your clients to go to prison. Keep them out of prison. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've had in the past a client had multiple cases, still a couple of felonies, few misdemeanors, about 5 or 6 cases, and managed to get, I believe we pled him to 2 cases, and then the remainder of those cases were dismissed, and he received probation. He received deferred probation, which means it's not a conviction. With deferred probation, if you successfully complete your probation, then the case is dismissed. And so that's really huge, especially with felony cases. If you have the opportunity to complete that probation and not have this felony conviction on your record, that's a win. And so managed to get that done for him. And he actually recently had a motion to revoke that probation because they alleged some violations, new cases. But we were able to get those new cases dismissed, and he was able to continue on probation. And so I'm just praying that he gets it done. He's gotten a second chance. And so anytime, especially with my young clients, anytime that I'm able to negotiate deals to prevent them from having these convictions on their records, that's always a successful negotiation.
Is it hard to negotiate with them or what?
With the prosecutors, it can be. Some are easier to deal with than others. There are some prosecutors that are difficult at times, and so that can make negotiating difficult at times. But for the most part, I have a very good rapport and relationship with a lot of the prosecutors, and so I think they respect me for my honesty and my representation with my clients, and that goes a long way with the negotiations.
Wow. Do you like? I'm sure you do, because you would have never gone to school. But do you like being a criminal lawyer?
I do. I enjoy it. It's never a dull moment.
Sure. A lot of crime.
Well, I would say that, but Just when you think you've heard it all, you haven't. It's always something new. And so, but I enjoy interacting with my clients, because you just meet people from all walks of life. And that's the best part about it. And so, and you're able to build relationships with people that you probably would never meet if they didn't or might not have caught a case. So I enjoy it. I really do.
Are most of your clients referred to you, or are they what? They just
Yes, I have some that are referred. I have some clients that are appointed to me by the court, meaning if they're indigent, meaning they're unable to afford to hire an attorney, then I'll be appointed to represent them. And some clients I've just known over the years, and so it's a little bit of everything. Some referred, some appointed.
Yeah, right. Okay, so tell us about how do you prepare your cases, or how do you prepare methods when taking a case?
Okay, so it is a screening process. The first thing is, before I take any type of case or agree to represent someone, is we do a consultation, in which I interview you. It's kind of like we're interviewing each other. They want to see if I'm the best attorney for them. I want to see if they're going to be a client that I'll be able to work with and they're not going to be difficult with me. So the first thing is the screening process. And then if we decide to enter into an attorney-client agreement, then we sign a contract, and we go from there. When it comes to criminal law, after that process, I file a letter of representation to put the court on notice that I am representing this person. And then from there, we get the discovery, meaning everything that the state has in which they're alleging this person committed this offense. We have to see what they have. If they saying you did something, we need to see the evidence.
Right.
So, and then it just goes from there, in which we have court proceedings or hearings until we can get the case resolved in one way or the other.
Jail, the answer to your question, Jail wants to know where we have question and answer. Yes, we have. We're waiting for you to put questions out there so that Brittany can answer your questions before I go into wills and probate. So if you want to ask her anything about the criminal system, she's here right now. She's here right now to answer that before we go into the wills and probate. So how often do you go to court? Do you go every day, or are there certain days you go?
It's pretty much every day. It's been different because of COVID. A lot of the courts have been facilitating hearings or proceedings on Zoom. So the few of the courts, like I do CPS cases as well sometimes. So we have those still on Zoom. Criminal side, we have court pretty much Monday and Wednesday for felony courts, misdemeanor courts. I'll probably be there Monday, Thursday. So I'm going to be in somebody's court one day in each week. It pretty much is, it's every day. I'm going to be in somebody's court.
Right. So during the COVID time, when it was pressed on us, you guys did Zoom. So
Yes.
how was that? We had the judge on one side, and then how was that? Just tell me the process.
Well, I did enjoy being in the comfort of my own home, but that spoiled me. Okay, because we didn't have to dress up all the time. You can sit and be, drink your coffee. So I enjoyed that. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, but it got a little difficult sometimes because it's kind of hard to communicate with your client when you're in a different place. So especially on the criminal side. So a lot of times, even though the proceedings were on Zoom, I still had to go and visit clients that are incarcerated and meet with them face to face. We just had our masks on, things like that. And so it could be difficult in that aspect, but it spoiled me because I enjoyed, just being on the computer at home. I can't lie. That was nice. So it went both ways.
You're person to person now.
Huh?
Now you're person to person, right?
Right. Yeah. For the most part, we're person to person for the most part, but they're still conducting court via Zoom too. So, but it's mainly the people that are out on bond. We have in-person court with them, but for those who are incarcerated, we're still doing court on Zoom via Zoom.
Right. Okay, so one of your questions, Jail wants to ask you, I've never heard an attorney call themselves a lawyer. Is there a reason why the term is only used by outside people like us? Or what do you all prefer?
Oh, I'm a lawyer. I say I'm a lawyer. I think attorney just rolls off our tongue more, but it's the same thing. I don't mind what people call me. It could be lawyer, attorney. It's both the same.
Mhm. Right, right. It depends on what they want. You want a lawyer or an attorney?
It's the same person.
The same person.
Yep.
Also wants to know, the second question is, can you explain the process of being a judge while being an attorney, and how does that work? Because you both.
Yeah, so I'm a part-time city magistrate, so I'm not a full-time judge.
Okay.
And so because I'm not full-time, that still allows me to have a practice, my own private practice. And being a part-time judge, I'm not on the bench every day of the week. And so I may be on the bench when called or if needed. With the Beaumont Municipal Court, our main judge is Judge Craig Lively. And so whenever he's not available, or he'll ask us what dates we're available to come in and fill in, then we'll do it like that. So I may be there maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week. And so because it's only part-time, I'm able to still have my own practice.
Right, right. Thank you guys for your questions. Let the questions keep coming. Marcus Castile once says, what are my rights when interacting with the police?
Well, you have rights with interacting with the police, but that can be it can be a judgment call. It can be objective. Okay, so I would tell anyone, depending on the situation, assess the situation first. You do have rights as an individual in regards to if they ask you your name or things like that, but it depends on what it is. If it's a traffic stop in which they approach your vehicle, ask for license registration or ask for your name, yes, you give them your name, but it really depends on the circumstances and on what is happening, because it's something that you probably need to research more, because the law changes every day. Okay, so especially with our rights, like you see laws passing every day. But the best thing that I can tell a person when interacting with the police is to make sure that the situation does not escalate, because you don't know exactly, you know who you are, but you don't know who you're interacting with. Okay.
Right, right.
And so if you're ever put in a situation with a police officer, just try to make sure that you keep the situation as calm as possible so that you can do whatever it needs to be done and to go on about your business and not worry about anything escalating to something that it should not escalate to.
So whatever, if they tell you to get out your car and just do whatever they say do.
Well, if they feel like there's probable cause, like say if a police officer walks up to your vehicle, and it could be anybody, if they smell the odor of marijuana, or if they see something on the center console, then that may give them probable cause to want to search the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, then they will ask you to step out of the vehicle. I would advise that a person step out of the vehicle if that happens, because for an officer to do that, they do need to have some type of probable cause. Mm-hmm. So if that develops, then yes, just I would advise that you do that so it doesn't lead to something worse.
Johnson West wants to know, is it illegal to film that? Is it illegal to film your traffic stop?
No, it's not illegal to film. People have the right to film.
Okay. But even if you're in the car by yourself?
Like some people, like it depends. Like you can have your cell phone,
right?
Okay. Some people have dash cams, in their car, in their vehicle. So it's not illegal to have a camera rolling. It's just like police officers have body cams,
right?
So they're allowed to have a body cam, that doesn't mean you can't have a camera yourself. So yes, I mean it's not illegal to record. No, that's not illegal.
Can they turn those body cams off? Or they're not supposed to turn them off?
That I don't want to give the wrong answer on that because that's more, that's with the police department. I know that they have the capabilities to turn off body cams. Yeah, body cams can be turned on and off. Now, whether they're allowed to do that, I don't know. That's probably policies within the police departments that they have. But I do know mainly, especially with both my police department, that they are trained to have their body cameras on.
Yeah, trained. Yes. Kathy Wingate wants to know, do they have to show you a search warrant?
Yes, if they come to your house and state that they have a search warrant to search your house, you can request to see the search warrant. Yes, and just like with a DWI case, if if you refuse to give blood, the police can request a search warrant to get your blood. And if the judge signs the search warrant, that they can show you the search warrant that the judge has signed, and then your blood can be drawn. So yes, you can request to see that search warrant, and they can show the search warrant to you. Because in order for them to even do a search warrant, it has to be signed by a judge first. They can't just go in and search something if they say they have a search warrant. It has to be signed by a judge.
But okay, so if they stop you and they don't have to have a search warrant to about in your vehicle, right? To show for your vehicle, they could just actually get out and search.
Well, if you're arrested, then they can search your vehicle incident to arrest. They don't need to have a search warrant for that.
Right.
So it's like if a person is arrested, then they can do like an inventory search, things like that. And no, they do not need a search warrant for that.
Thank you guys for these are some good questions that you're asking. Excuse me. Continue with the questions as we go on to wills and probates. If you want to ask us about criminal steal, you can do that. We're getting ready to go on to what she is also. She's also a will and probate lawyer / attorney. So what does a probate involve?
Okay, so probate is pretty much a process in which the court legally recognizing that a person has passed or has died, and then the court oversees that person's assets, debts, and how to distribute their estate. Okay, so mainly the court's role is to facilitate the process, protect any interest that any creditors or beneficiaries may have of the estate, and then the Texas probate court and any person hired by the court will facilitate that process, and that's what they call probate. Okay, so it's mainly the court overseeing after a person passes their assets and to see how to go about distributing that. Yes,
so
ma'am.
It doesn't take long for them to do it, or does it take years for them to go over that?
It depends. So if a person passes with a will, then they'll call that a probate. Now, in a will, you appoint an executor, and that'll be the person that'll oversee the process of the probate and then go about distributing the assets or whatever the wishes of the person that passed was. So a person has 4 years, or the executor has 4 years after a person dies to file for probate. If it's a simple probate where nobody's contesting it, then it may be a simple process, probably up to 6 months. Now, if it's a situation where you might have family members that can't get along, that could be a process that can take years. So it really depends on if it's contested or not contested. That'll depend on the time frame.
Yeah. Well, we saw that with James Brown. It took years for
Yeah.
We saw that with James, so I don't even know if they still doing it or not. So, but
Right.
Okay, so what happens if someone mishandles the estate?
Okay, so if a person mishandles the estate, obviously the family can't contest it. There's also a grievance process that you can go through, and in a dispute, it can be brought before the probate court, and it has to be heard before a probate court judge. So if you feel that if an executor has mishandled the estate or may have falsified anything, then you do have some remedies, but it will have to go through the probate process or the probate court in order for there to be any type of relief.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Okay, so say for instance, if my husband passed and we had a will, okay?
Mhm.
Okay, we both have children. Children on this side, a family that which call that kind of family? Um,
Blended family.
yeah, blended family. Thank you. Okay, so the will goes to court. I mean, the people go to court to read probate court to read the will. But in the meantime, while we're doing that, it's a big issue on it. I'm still the wife, and in the will it states that wife is the sole survivor and gets all this and this and that and this and that.
Beneficiary of everything.
Yeah. So can they fight that?
They can try to, but they may have a hard time of having it changed, because in order for a will to be contested, they're either going to have to try to prove that your husband, um, the will was forged or falsified, or that he was forced to sign it against his will, or or maybe he was incapacitated, meaning he wasn't in the right mental state. So they have some hills to climb to even get to that point. So if it's proven, if the person has a will, your husband has a will, and he's saying you're the sole beneficiary, then that will has to stand unless he revoked it, or they somehow can prove that one of those things happened where he was forced, or it's a forgery, it wasn't his wishes. But if they cannot prove that that wasn't his wishes, then the will and whatever's in it will stand.
So in that case, the wife supersedes everything.
Well, yeah, if that's what's in his will,
Right.
if that's his wishes, if he says you're the sole beneficiary and everything goes to you, then everything will go to you unless they can prove otherwise that those were not his wishes.
Okay. Johnson West wants to know, let's see. She says, what happens if a person doesn't leave any money, assets, and home in foreclosure and owes IRS? What is the duty of the executor?
Well, an executor is if a person leaves a will. Okay. So the person can leave a will, and so the executor will be over the estate. So yes, if a person still has debts after or when they die, the estate is still liable to pay those debts. And so it's going to be up to creditors, to try to get those assets, or like she said, the home in foreclosure. Then they may put a lien on the property. But an estate is still liable for any type of debts that a person has, and that's including IRS, because the IRS is gonna get their money.
Get their money. Yeah,
They're gonna get the money.
get it.
So, yes.
Yes.
So yes, the executor, the duty of the executor is to see that those debts are paid. That's the duty of the executor, but it comes out of the estate.
Okay, so what's the difference between a power of attorney and the executive? Does the power of attorney only last while the person is still living and it falls off when he passed away and then the executive take over? Am I right?
No. Okay. So a power of attorney is a document that a person can draft while they're living. And what a power of attorney is that you are appointing, they call an agent. You're the principal, you appoint an agent to handle your affairs while you're alive. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the power of attorney will stop upon either your death, or if you revoke the power of attorney, stating that you no longer wish for it to be. You can revoke a power of attorney. Now, executor, that is a person appointed by the person, which the legal term is at the time you sign a will, you're signing it as a testator.
Right.
Legal term. When you pass, you become a decedent.
Okay.
So the executor is the person that will bring the will to probate to fulfill the wishes of the decedent, but that won't happen until after you die. Okay. So yeah, that's two totally different. With a power of attorney, that's why you're living and you're appointing someone to help handle your affairs, such as financial things or property, just somebody that's going to handle your affairs while you're alive.
Okay.
Power of attorney is while you're alive. Once you die, it's no longer valid.
No value. Yeah. Only Hardy says, can you change the executor if the person is still living?
If who is still the person who wrote the will?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Change it.
revoke, change your will as many times as you want. Yeah, you can change your executor. You can change the beneficiaries, the people who you want certain things to go to. So yes, you can change your will and revoke the previous wills as many times as you want.
So that the audience can understand wills and everything else, what is a will?
Okay.
And everyone have a will?
Okay, so a will is pretty much a document that a person drafts up in order to mainly just fulfill their wishes as to how they want their estate handled or who they want to have certain things when it comes to their estate when they die. So say if you have a house, you can in your will you can state that you wish for your home to go to a grandchild or whoever. Okay, that's what a will is for. It's mainly a document that you state what you want to happen to your property after you die. Okay, you can name guardians of your children in a will. That's where you name your executor. Designate. You can designate how you want your taxes paid. It's whatever you want, whatever your wishes are. That's what a will is for. And yes, I would encourage everybody to do a will because you just never know what can happen. You see it all the time, families fighting after people die because there's no will, and they're going back and forth. So a will is pretty much your terms, you saying what you want to happen with your property, your assets. And so in the state of Texas, you can do a will in a couple of different ways. Okay, so in the state of Texas, you have either a holographic will, that's handwritten, meaning you write your will with your handwriting and you sign your signature. The wills that the wills that I do are called attested wills, meaning they're typed by an attorney, drafted up with your wishes, and then you sign it in a presence of two witnesses. Okay, and so that's the types that I do for people, in which they tell me what all they want in the will. I type it up, and then they review it, make sure everything is correct, and then they sign it in the presence of two witnesses, so that the will can be valid. And one thing that I tell people, when in the will, you can do a self-proven affidavit. Okay, now you probably not gonna see these in these wills that you buy at Office Depot and stuff. But if you do a self-proven affidavit, that substitutes for the in-court testimony of witnesses. Okay, so if you do that self-proven affidavit with your last will and testament, and that'll be signed by you, by the two witnesses, and in the presence of a notary. And then that'll save a lot of time when it's time to probate your will in court. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
My bad. The will you was talking about earlier, where it was written out. It's like handwritten out.
Will,
You have to have witnesses for that one also.
No, a holographic will does not need witnesses or a notary. It must be completely handwritten and signed by you. Personally, I probably would not recommend it because it still would make it a little difficult to prove up in court. I would probably recommend the attested will, where you're doing it in the presence of two witnesses. But even though you don't have to do a holographic will with witnesses, I would probably encourage you to do it. If you write your will out, I would probably still encourage you to do it in front of witnesses.
Does Texas recognize holographic wills?
Yes.
Okay. I know California did. I know California does because I had an uncle who did that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did recognize that, but I've never known Texas to do it.
Yeah, it'll make the probate process a little bit more difficult because it's your handwriting, so they'll have to find someone that'll prove up that's your handwriting, that's your signature. So it'll make the probate process a little bit more difficult, but it is recognized.
Let me see. There's a lady, Yvonne Hill. I think I'm saying her name right, but she's not on the comments page, but she's on my phone. So she's saying, when naming a guardian of a child, does the other parent have to give consent?
Well, I think mainly, probably so. I don't want to give the wrong answer on that. Mainly when a person names a guardian, that's like single parent household. I would think that if it's a two-parent household, that in the event that both of them pass, that they would have an agreement on the guardian. But a lot of times you don't see a parent appointing a guardian if they're married, or because it's automatic that if one parent passes in a household, then obviously the other parent is the legal guardian. But a lot of times you'll see a guardian appointed in single parent households where maybe another parent is not involved in the child's life. Then that'll be the times where you'll see a parent appoint a guardian. So you probably do need another parent's approval, but I don't see that often because normally when there's a two-parent household, there's no guardian being requested to be appointed because it automatically the other parent will be the guardian of the child in the event that one parent dies.
Tamara Holmes is giving a thumbs up for you. So if you need a professional will done, please contact attorney Brittany Holmes by calling 409-832-6041 to set up a consultation. She's ready to work with you. Go ahead on, sis.
I'm ready. Love you.
And give it.
Yes.
Gave you a thumbs up, boo. Hey, that's what family's supposed to do.
Got my back.
Yes. Okay, what is a living will? Because you have a will, then you have a living will. I know. No, I want you to tell it because I was gonna say something.
So living will, another term for it is an advanced directive or healthcare directive.
Right.
Okay, so a person say a living will, that's what they mean. So what that does, it allows you to specify what kind of medical treatment that you would like in the event that you're unable to make or communicate those wishes. So it gives doctors directions to administer whether to withhold or withdraw life sustaining treatments in the event of any terminal condition. So like if there's a decision for life support or a ventilator, you can have an advanced health directive and you can direct them to say, I do not wish to have any life-saving measures. If you have to put me on life support, I don't want to be on life support. Just you let me go. So you can tell the doctors in advance that you do not want to be resuscitated in the event that CPR is needed. You don't want a feeding tube or dialysis if your kidneys are not functioning. So it's you directing the physicians on your medical treatment, and it helps because your family won't have to go through that life or death decision on your behalf of what to do if that directive is not in place. So that's what they say a living will is. You're pretty much specifying how you would like or want things to go in the event that, and when you're at the hospital or wherever, if you can't communicate your wishes, they will look at that directive and see what your wishes are.
Dolores Nelson Savoy says, can you explain grandparents' rights?
Unfortunately, I guess to be as blunt or clear about it, grandparents don't have much. Don't have any rights when it comes to kids. So it is a very tough subject, and obviously it depends on the type of case. So say if a parent passes, but there is another parent in the child's life, it's very difficult for a grandparent to, like, say, have custody or get the child. So when it comes to grandparents' rights, it's very difficult. That's more on the family law side. I don't really delve in family law that much in that area. So you may want to consult with an attorney who deals more on the family law side in order to know what your rights are. But I do know that when it comes to grandparents' rights, it's very slim pickings. It's very difficult when it comes to grandparents' rights, depending on the type of case it is and what it involves.
Let me apologize to you. I keep pulling back and looking forward because I just got a puppy and and he's biting my toe.
I got mine over him too. I'm just praying he don't come in the camera. Everybody knows my dog.
I kept hearing him barking. He only trying to bite my toe, so I'm sorry.
It's all right. I understand.
Okay, so how often do you recommend updating your will?
It really depends on you. So if you have a person that you might have designated as a beneficiary that passes, then you need to update your will. Or if you have someone that you may have appointed as the executor, if they predecease you, or if they might become incapacitated, something like that, then you need to update your will to different names. I have some people sometimes, if you piss them off, then they're gonna take out their will. So I have some clients that they will update that will because they upset with you. So
Right.
try not to upset y'all grandparents and stuff, because they be coming to me to take y'all out these wills. So y'all just watch what you say to your grandparents and stuff, because they will update that will and take you out. But people can update wills at any time.
At any time, huh? up until the time they pass away.
Right. Yeah. They'll just revoke the previous will, and they can update it any time.
What is a joint tenancy with the rights of survivorship?
Okay, so joint tenancy rights survivorship. So that's pretty much where you're naming a person. Say if you got community property, you both own the property. Okay, so you're drafting a document in which if one person passes, then the property will automatically go to the other person, the other tenant. But y'all both have to own the property, okay? So okay. In Texas, say if a married couple, if they agree in writing, it has to be in writing, that the community property will go to the surviving spouse, okay? When the other spouse dies, they can do that, and that's called the right of survivorship agreement. And that agreement, it has to be filed in the county clerk's office, okay? It has to be in the county clerk's records. But it's pretty much saying any property owned with joint tenancy, it'll automatically passes to the surviving owner when the other owner dies. So that's how it goes.
Yeah, and Texas honors community property, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that if I'm married and my husband passes away, everything would come to me because we community property, because we have community property, right?
If both of y'all, when we're talking about joint tenancy or right of survivorship, in Texas, each owner, which is the joint tenant, must own an equal share. So y'all both names got to be on that deed.
Right.
Okay. So as long as that happens, then if your husband dies, then it will go over to you because y'all have that agreement in writings. And to establish, and that's how you establish the joint tenancy, is y'all both have to sign that agreement.
Right. So we really don't necessarily have to have a will, right?
When it comes, that's one way to avoid probate. It's different ways you can avoid probate. Okay, especially if you don't have a lot involved. If it's just a property, say if it's just a house, that's all you got. If you want to do the joint tenancy or right of survivorship, you can do that. I have a lot of people. Sometimes the husband may have had the house before they got married.
Right.
And they get married, they in the house, but they never update the deed. So when the husband passes, the wife's name is not on the deed, but she's been in the house 20 years, 30 years with him. So if that happens, you can get what they call an heirship, an affidavit of heirship. Okay. And what that is, you can have witnesses that will be able to attest to the family history, to say that you're the spouse, if y'all had any children, just pretty much the history of the person who passed. And with an heirship, once that's filed, because that has to be filed in the county clerk's office as well, once that's done, then that'll leave a gateway for that spouse to be able to get the home or the deed in their name. Now, there's other stuff to it, such as if they have children, the children would need to sign over their share of the property, so the mom can get the home in her name. So there's other stuff to it, but it's ways that it doesn't have to go through the whole probate process with the probate court.
Why is it that your name is on the deed, okay? After your husband passed away, your name is on the deed, but you still owe for the house, but the bank doesn't, because they have a lien on the house, the bank doesn't take your put your name on the deed, on that note, because it's someone else's name was on there before you. Why the bank can't take that off?
Because you have to, because one, the bank has to protect themselves, because everybody's not going to be as honest as you when it comes to these things, so the bank is not just going to say, okay, well, we know your spouse died, we're going to just put your name on the property. They're not going to do that. What you're going to have to do, what the bank is going to tell you, is that they're going to need a court order or something from the court stating that you can be put on this property. Now, in that particular instance, if a bank is involved, you're more than likely going to have to do what they call an application for independent administration, where you're asking to be the administrator over the estate. Okay. And then that'll give you the gateway to be able to handle the affairs. Even with regular bank accounts, back in the day, if a person passed, you can just go to the bank and say, okay, I want to close their account. Here's the death certificate. And then the bank will do it. But the banks don't do that anymore. I think because I don't know if there was too much going on. They got a little trouble. But it is a full process now where the banks are going to request that you have documentation from a court or a court order or something before they do anything.
Right, because I know that for a fact that the bank won't take your name off. I mean, put your name on because someone else's name was on there when they received the home itself.
Right, and that's why I say it's very important when it comes to wills. It'll make it easier for people to possibly get the homes put in their name or deeds, because you have people, the mama died and they just be paying taxes on the property all these years, but you don't own the house. You might, just because you're paying the taxes and you're paying the utilities to keep them on, that does not mean you own the property. You have to go through the proper steps in order to get that property in your name.
Yeah, I know that you can have your name on that deed, but just not the bank taking your name off the loan itself. And that's a difficult, thing, because you never know. Because you're like, okay, my name on a deed. Why can't you take me off of this? Why can't you put me on this? And when the first thing they'll say is, no, we can't do that.
Right. No, they're not going to do it.
That's something. Charlotte Wilson says, can a Texas lawyer file an affidavit of heirship for property located in Louisiana?
No. If I practice in the state of Texas, my bar card is only for the state of Texas. So now what they can do, they may be able to draft it up for you. But as far as me filing it in Louisiana, no, because I don't have the authority to practice in Louisiana. So when I do, because I do have clients that have asked me about this, so I would have to refer them to, if I know an attorney in the Louisiana area that they're looking for, but I am not authorized because my bar card is only for the state of Texas.
What happens if something happens in the state of Texas and you seek a lawyer wherever you was, and then you move, and so you want to find another lawyer because that lawyer put a lien what you want to do, and now you don't want him anymore. Like you're trying to fire him, but he put a lien on that case, and you trying to find another lawyer. That other lawyer can't take that case, right? Because you got a lien on that case. Another lawyer had a lien on the case.
Okay, repeat that again. I'm not quite following you.
Well, that was a long statement now.
Okay, so you're saying
what if okay, so I made a case somewhere else in the state of Texas, right?
Okay.
And I don't want this lawyer anymore. So he know I don't want this lawyer, him. So he put a lien on it because now you want to use somebody else. He put a lien on that case. And so I went somewhere else in Texas. I moved somewhere else in Texas, and I found me another lawyer that can do this, that possibly do this. But they can't touch the case because the lawyer I had, the other lawyer, put a lien on my case.
What do you mean put a lien? Like put a lien on your property, or
it's not necessary property. Yeah, let's say property, since we're talking about it.
Okay. So you're saying the lawyer may have put a lien, I guess, due to lack of payment, or because a lawyer just can't do that.
Like okay, so say okay, so I got hurt at a company. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm trying to file charges. I'm trying to file a suit against this company, but now you wasn't doing your job. You're not doing your job, so I'm gonna find somebody else. So I'm gonna take my case to find somebody else. But now you didn't put a lien on my case. Now nobody want to take it.
I've never seen that, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think a lawyer can stop you from retaining other counsel. I've never seen that. So I'm not quite sure about that. That's a little crazy if they do that. But I've never seen that because a person obviously has the right to other counsel if they want to.
Right.
I've never seen that before, so I'm not quite sure how that would work. Mm-hmm. There might be some attorneys that might do that. I've just never seen that, so I'm not quite sure how that would work out.
Maryland, what's Maryland said? Are you speaking of a lawsuit? Yes, Maryland, it was a lawsuit, and so.
Okay, well, that's more on the civil side. That would be a civil matter. Mm-hmm. So maybe on the civil side, that happens. I'm just not quite sure as I don't do any civil law.
You on the criminal side. So if I knocked him out and everything, then it'd be criminal.
Yes. So maybe that does happen. I don't know anything about the civil side, but if they do that, that's something.
Yeah, I'm just saying because I'm just speaking of something someone else said, and I'm like, because I've never heard that before, and I'm like, I don't know.
I've never seen that.
First of all, I'm an educator, not a lawyer.
Right. And there's so many areas of law. You'd be amazed at the different areas, So that's one area I'm not quite sure about on that.
Right. Okay. So the clock on the wall says almost time for us to get on out of here. But before we leave, Ms. Holmes, what would you like to leave your audience with on the criminal side and on the probate and will side? What would you like to tell them about anything about that criminal side? Don't call you. I'm just playing.
Y'all see my number on the screen. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer as best as I can. As always, if you're looking for an attorney on the criminal defense side, give me a call. I'll do my best to be able to aid you. If I'm not able to, I'm always referring people to others that may be helping certain areas. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And if y'all need anything, give me a call.
Before we get off, let's see what your sister said, because she wrote a book.
Oh,
Thank you for participating and joining attorney Brittany Holmes tonight. To hear more from her in the effort to assist your legal needs, please call the number and schedule a consultation to visit 455 Milan, located directly across the street from the courthouse. Let's support our Black lawyers. And you are so right. Let's support our Black lawyers. And we have, especially our young Black, not just young Black, but all our Black lawyers. They all need our support. Everybody saying it's an awesome job. Thank you for coming on. I too want to thank you, Ms. Holmes, for coming on and accepting Blue Table Talk to come to Blue Table Talk. So if it's something that you know I can do for you, bring you out to say something else. Hey, all you gotta do is call me. Let me know. We hey, we done contact each other now.
Yeah, you told me my number. We friends now.
We friends now, baby.
You know, I got to before I leave.
Huh?
I must shout some people out.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have to shout out my beautiful sorors of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. They've been holding me down, sharing tonight. I love y'all. It's a forever love. So I had to shout out my sorors. You muted. You muted again.
And they're on here too.
Yes.
They're on here because I know a lot of them who are deltas. So, okay, thank you, Jocelyn. Jocelyn said great presentation. Sorrow Holmes, and enjoyed your show, Deborah Jones. South End for life. That's me. I'm South End for life.
Yeah.
South side. God bless you guys. God keep you. Know that if there's anything that I can do for you, please call me or Facebook me, DM me, whatever it takes to contact me. If I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then you know that my living is not in vain. God bless you. God keep you my prayer. Good night.